Good morning. This is Jack from Charting Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 4th of February. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some ability to learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.subset.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, great. Let's have a look at the indices, which we saw a sharp fall yesterday on some Iran news, and that did do a bit of technical damage, but not necessarily enough to move the needle on the bigger picture. NQ was almost retraced the entire move of the previous day, so I'd like to see that outperform a bit because I would like to see a retest of the all-time high on NDX. RTY has broken up over declining resistance, might have a target up and a retest of the high, but this is most definitely the weakest. And YM, we didn't quite make the retest of the high here on the triangle here, but we did make the high retest on Dire. So that target I'm counting as made because Dire is the dog and the futures is just the tail. So this triangle played out perfectly to the target on Dire. So I'm counting that as already made. On DAX, possible oversized double bottom here, but basically I'm looking for a retest of the high. I'd like it to hold the monthly pivot area, which is backtesting at the moment. The SDX backtesting the monthly pivot as well. It's holding okay so far. Already retested the high there, of course. And Nikkei, this has broken up and retested the all-time high already. So that triangle also played out beautifully there. So right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Now looking at SPX and ES. ES came down and closed below the daily middle band yesterday. That closed at 89.69 and we closed down at 69 and 69.41. So on SPX, the daily middle band was at 69.35 and we closed down at 69.17. So we've seen a break up over it on Monday and we've seen a rejection on Tuesday, a rejection which got all the way down to the 50 DMA, which was back tested and has held so far. Now it could be that we're going to expand this to the downside. What I'd like to see today and tomorrow is a break back over the daily middle band to open up the retest of the all-time high again. In terms of the hourly chart, we got nothing. 15-minute chart, we got nothing. So really, we're just looking at the daily middle band here, and I think it's probably going to break back above, but of course it will tell us a lot if it doesn't about where we are in terms of topping patterns. Because we've had a couple more high retests, we have got a better setup here for topping out if we are topping out. Now, just to mention on next week we've got a bullish leaning week. Every day is at minimum 57% green closes, and we've got a 61% on Monday, 71% on Thursday, 61% again on Friday. So we've got a pretty bullish week on February as next week in February as well. So this is a perfect opportunity to do some high retests and potentially think about going higher if it's going to do that. Now, looking at Qs, we closed back below the daily middle band as well. That closed at 63, and the market closed at 616. We also headed down below the 50 DMA, which was at 618. So we closed a couple of handles below that as well. This could be an initial sign of weakness, and well, we have already retested the high here on Qs, but we haven't quite managed it on NDX, although this would still make a pretty decent looking double top. We will see, but I'd still like to see NDX do the full retest. Nothing to say really on the hourly chart. Nothing really to say on the 15-minute chart either. No divergences to mention. All right, Dire. Dire, we closed marginally above the daily middle band yesterday, having gone below it, but recovered back above it. Obviously, we've already retested the high here. You can see we went slightly above at the high yesterday, which was at 496.52, which made a new high over the previous all-time high at 496.16. So liking the high there. I'm assuming we also did that on, we also did that on India as well. So we don't have a failure to make it on the main index there. So Dire on the 60-minute chart, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal that's reached the possible near miss target. 15-minute, nothing to see. But obviously the triangle worked out pretty well there too. All right, let's have a look at the IWM chart. Right, on the IWM chart, we have We went back to, we actually held up surprisingly well here yesterday. We basically closed on the daily middle band again. And that daily middle band was rising slightly. So actually IWM performed the best out of them yesterday. But it's still looking a little weak overall. On the 60-minute chart, we're just about holding on to this rising support. But obviously we have broken down below that slightly, so we could extend lower here, but I'd quite like to see a retest of the high. On DAX, we got back up and back tested the daily middle band, but failed to close over it. I'd like to see that close over and retest the high. And on Nikkei, we did retest the high. So nice move. And that means we've got a nice looking little double top there too. Overall, the topping pattern here is unconvincing. But potentially might amount to something. Obviously, if we get some bad enough news, we could see a larger retracement here. But otherwise, I'm thinking we're probably going to see some more upside into the end of next week. All right, let's have a look at DX. Okay, DX. This is a little IHS. It's broken up with a target in the 98.96 area, and we've got a little bull flag here, suggesting we're at least going to see a retest of the short-term high. We have got a 60-minute sell signal fixed here, not delivered anything so far. We will see. Looking at the other indices, might be breaking up slightly here on UUSD, maybe. Doesn't really look much like a bull flag, but could set up a high retest anyway. Might be starting to head for a high retest on GBP. I haven't marched in, but there's a little IHS here with a target at about the 1.377 area. On USD/JPY, this is bouncing quite nicely. I think this was an intervention to bring this down last week. I have still got a target at 162, which I'd quite like to see hit. So I'm not unhappy to see this outperforming. On USD CAD, we've got a breakup over declining resistance and a little bull flag forming. So I think we are likely to see at least some more upside on the US dollar, and it might be a significant amount. And Australian dollar, this looks like, well, this is kind of a bull flag which has broken up because we had a head and shoulders here which failed. This should deliver a retest of the high here at about 70.90. On NZ, looks like a bull flag forming. All right, let's have a look at ZB, which is, I was looking at a tweet this morning about someone saying, yields are running away. Yields are not running away. We are close to recent lows, but this is just basically trading a range while it thinks about direction. That direction should be, in my view, down, but we're not actually seeing that move yet. ZN looks like a flag which is breaking down, might still be forming a flag though. Buy signal has reached a possible near-miss target and might be signing that off if it actually makes a full hit of the 30 level on the RSI. Okay, looking at CL. CL, we got a rally, recovered about half of this move down. Buy signal made targets, keeping an open mind. Obviously, this is very sensitive to what's happening in Iran, but not so sensitive that this headed back into the highs yesterday when a drone got shot down by the US, sent by Iran. So we're still in. I was a little surprised the market reacted so much, but then the market is very, very nosebleed highs at the moment. So, maybe that was just it. In terms of HO, retraced about 50% as well. RBOB, retraced rather more than that. NG, this looks like a little bear flag forming, and we have seen a rejection now basically of this whole move up. We haven't got back to 2.6 yet, but I'm thinking we might. But in terms of the cold snap in the US, I assume that's coming near to an end, but we had a big squeeze in February and pretty much all of that's been given back now. Looking at GC, especially given that actually the high here was at 4.6 on the February contract, I think it reached 7. That was pretty extreme. All right, looking at GC. GC still looks like a bear flag forming. SI looks like a bear flag, and possibly a little double top as it backtests the monthly pivot. On Palladium, again, looks like a bear flag, backtesting the monthly pivot, trying to break over it, but if it doesn't, this looks like a little double top too. On Platinum, looks like a bear flag, and HG, this is a little IHS which is broken up with a target in the 6.24 area, but of course to do that, it's got to get over the monthly pivot at 6.06. I'm quite liking that, but you know, we will see. May or may not get back over. All right, let's have a look at KC. KC, I was watching support at this trend line when it got there, and at the moment we have broken below it. Now, this could potentially be a bullish underthrow, but it may just be a continued breakdown. I was saying that I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this breakdown further. We do have a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. Looking at SB, SB 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target, and we'll see. Personally, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low here after this full move is finished, and I'm thinking it's probably finished. So I'm thinking target there at about the 14.03 area, and it hasn't reached that yet. On CC, nice looking potential little double bottom, but the buy signal's already reached the possible there miss target. CT, possible little low here actually. I've got some positive divergence. on the main chart on CT. Let's just have a quick look at that. On the daily chart here, this is a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing, so I am wondering about a potential little double bottom here. We will see. Let's have a look at lumber. Lumber, we've got a move sideways here. I'm thinking this may resolve to the downside. We will see how that goes. But the longer we spend going sideways here, the more likely it is that the overall downtrend will take control and this will head down. On ZW, we've got a little double bottom broke up here. Not sure this is going to make target, but I'm not really seeing an alternative pattern forming. So waiting to see if that will. On corn, we've got a double top which has broken up. A bear flag which is forming, and the 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. On soy, soy bear flag that looks like it is breaking down. We do alternatively have a double bottom which has broken up with a target in the 1104 area. On ZL, we've got a double top that broke down here and is largely rejected. So I'm expecting this to fully reject and get back up into the retest of this high in about the 55.95 area, 54.95 area. On live cattle, we are drifting higher here, and the quality of this potential double top here is drifting down. So I'm thinking we may well be going further up. But if we are going further up, we may not go a lot further up, because the trend line I'd be looking at here is... so I've got that currently at about the 247.5 area if this wedge is just expanding. On HE, we have a double top here, but that is again getting lower quality while this breaks up. I would say this is pretty nice looking rising megaphone, and the next obvious target within the megaphone would be megaphone support, currently in about the 94.3 area. All right, let's have a look at the some of the other bigger picture charts quickly. On TYX, obviously we've still got an IHS which is broken up with a target in about the 50.2 area. On TNX, we've still got a IHS which is broken up with a target in the 43.85 area, and these are decent patterns. FVX is still looking like a triangle, and the next obvious target would be the triangle resistance, currently at about the 43 area. This is, of course, the 5-year yield. The other two are the 10 and the 30. And TLT, we've got a nice looking head and shoulders, which is broken down here with a target in the 84.7 area. These are all decent targets. I'm expecting to see these deliver, but not necessarily straight away. Okay, let's have a look at the US dollar. US dollar seen a nice little rally from the low. This is, I would note, a very big inflection point, and we could be forming we had a double bottom here, it broke up, it failed, and we could have formed a larger double bottom. So now I'm not saying the administration obviously is doing absolutely nothing to inspire any confidence in the dollar, but nonetheless, we could see a decent rally here, and potentially we could get back up to the 100 area and break up from the possibly enlarged double bottom. We will see. All right, let's have a look at oils. Bigger picture, I'm still liking the overall bullish setup here, and I'm thinking, I mean, for instance, India has been taking, for most of the last year, about 3 million barrels a day from the Russians. Now, the Indians have now almost entirely stopped buying. I think the last number I looked at was they're buying about 750,000 barrels a day, and it was dropping fast. Now, the question there is, What impact does that have on the market? Well, I was talking about a surplus of about 3 or 4 million. If the Indians stop buying any of that and the Russians can't place it anywhere else, that is 3 million barrels a day off the world market. Just saying. We are at a point where a couple of nudges could move us into a squeeze situation where we could see prices go up a lot. We will see. All right, in terms of gold and silver, I don't think we're looking at a bull market high here, in all honesty, but we could be looking at a sizable retracement. We do have quite a lot of sell signals, fixed or brewing on weekly charts. We will see how it goes. But I am thinking we may well be topping out here for a sizable swing high. Do I think we might retest the high, set up a double top here? No, that would be ridiculous, and would have a price down in about the 20 area, which I don't think we're going to be seeing, possibly again in my lifetime. But gold potentially could retest the high and give us a double top. I'm not thinking that we'd see a move down that far, but quite often topping patterns tend to be, they're quite often effectively masked bull flags, because you set up a pattern, you break down from it, and then it fails higher. We will see. We've got a lot of negative divergence. I'm thinking we may well be looking at a period of retracement here. Not a lot to see on the commodities. Let's go over to crypto. Now, crypto. Looking here on the 60-minute chart, we had a flag. I was talking about move down to 80.6, and then I was talking about support in the 74.4 area. We've gone slightly below that. We've still got an hourly buy signal fixed. Well, we actually had that for the whole of the last move anyway. We have a little bit of positive divergence, although to be honest, it's not a lot. I'd prefer a higher rally and then a retracement. But nonetheless, we are where I thought we might be, and this is a potential head and shoulder neckline. And we're still looking at the potential bounce that I'm thinking we may see here up into about the 110 area. Now, I think that partially depends on whether we actually have a period of some strength on equities, or at least it doesn't go down a lot. But I'm still liking the bounce there. Is the setup as nice as I was hoping it would be? No. Is it still pretty decent? Yes. Looking at Solana. Solana, on the daily chart, we've got some pretty decent looking positive divergence here. This is a full RSI 14 buy signal bring, weak RSI 5 buy signal. And we had a head and shoulder target down the 95.24 retest, and we got down as far as 94.74. So that's now made the full target. We've got a nice looking double bottom with resistance in the 106 area. Break up over that gets us into the 117, 118 area, and it looks nice. Now, it does look scary to buy here, but it tends to, well, the fact is it looks very tempting. Well, it looks scary to sell at highs, and it looks scary to buy at lows. That is just simply the nature of the market. Is this necessarily a low? No, this could extend lower. Is this the obvious area to see a low, which could last for 3 to 6 months and potentially take us back up to 200 on Solana? Yes, this is that area, and that may happen. All right, looking at Ethereum, we didn't quite make the target there. I've got that head and shoulder target in the 2070 area, and we made it down to 2108. Might that be close enough for now, and we come back for it later? Yes. Do we have any positive divergence on the daily there? Yes, but like Bitcoin, it's fairly minimal. We will see how it goes. Do we have a short-term bottoming pattern here? We've got it. Yeah, we've got one. We've got it's got resistance at about 2400, and if we saw a sustained break above that, we'd have a target at about the 2560 to about 2620 area, and I'm thinking we may well do that. Not a huge move on this chart, but still, a pretty sizable rally. Beyond that, we would have to see. But I am thinking that we could be forming a head and shoulders on Bitcoin here, and that could get us back up to, ideally 110 area, and then we see a larger move down with potentially a significant move down on equities as well. We shall see. In terms of where we are in terms of lows, I've been seeing a lot of calls for lows on Twitter, but the fact is, it's all about timescales. If this is a bear market, and I think there's a pretty good chance that it is, then the bear market low would typically be somewhere in the region of a year after the high. And I wouldn't be looking at the Solana high, I would be looking at the Bitcoin high. And that Bitcoin high was made in October. So what are the chances of making a low in early February? Not very high. I think we've got lower to go, and we've got the rest of the bear market to unfold. But I'm thinking we might see a good counter trend rally here and then down from there. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I'll catch you guys again on Sunday.